Quarantine was a surreal time. Unable to freely be outdoors, masking, being forced to be locked up in our spaces was something I would have never imagined at all. Post-quarantine was a mess. The world was still recovering from the state of detachment, while I was filled with dread at the thought of returning to school. In the gaming community, the word of this new fantasy RPG game spread like wildfire. This is all over the internet hyping for the debut of Genshin Impact, as it would be released in an open-world anime-styled RPG with a gacha system. I was curious. I looked up release dates, mechanics, exploration, and slowly my curiosity transformed into a burning desire to try the game. Around October 2020, one of my closest friends was playing the game that evening. I vaguely remembered Genshin Impact being mentioned on those top 10 Watch Mojo games to look forward to in 2020, so I looked it up and was blown away by one major factor. The game was entirely free. Yes, unlike Breath of the Wild or Final Fantasy XIV, you had full access to all features completely for free. That was the beginning of what I would call the Genshin Impact sinkhole. Genshin surprisingly wasn't that popular as it was 2023 onwards, with its peak concurrent players reaching over 66 million on average. It was a steadily growing game and I wanted to be a part of the first thousands of players. Almost every day after school, I would hop on excited to progress onto the next story and get new characters. Late 2020 Genshin was a magical time and it became a prominent game in my life, showing up out of the blue when I couldn't cope with anything else my reality had to offer. I was really enjoying the novelty in the vast, colorful open world that felt so vibrant and enticing to explore. As someone who's dabbled in a couple of hours into the game, not too much though, Genshin Impact brought me closer to people and communities I thought I'd never interact with to this day. My favorite patch was around 1.2 when Albedo and Dragonspine came out. During winter break, I would hop on with a few of my closest friends and we would call and participate in the patch, excited to traverse the new region. The spark of having loads of content to play in a video game is something that I wish I kept with me at all times. Character building was actually my favorite thing to do, and I loved leveling them up and showing off on my profile. The biggest issue I had with Genshin Impact was the content drought and in-game burnout. As I progressed further and caught up with the events in the story, it slowly began to feel like a chore. Every day, the constant need to complete daily commissions and spend resin felt like it was as important as drinking water. Not to mention the rewards weren't sufficient enough to wish on any of the banners. If you wanted a character you like from the limited banner, you need to gather around 90 intertwined fates, which is the currency that allows you to wish for characters and weapons. To summarize, 90 fates guarantee the 5-star, get them early if you're lucky, and also have a chance of losing, hence why the pity system exists. Once you lose the 50% chance of getting a limited 5-star with a standard 5-star character, you're guaranteed a limited 5-star next. It felt devastating every time you lost, as you would have to grind and shave off as many primal gems to be lucky enough to try again for one copy. The fact that most things are time-gated and only accessible on certain days was so disappointing. Artifact and talent material domains are crucial for making your character stronger, as you cannot solely rely on their weapon and character level. Remember when I said everything is free? That is still true. However, towards the endgame, the requirements for materials become increasingly more demanding, which leaves you with limited resources to fill a fraction of what is needed. This is where the concept of pay to win comes in. I'm sure many of you that clicked on this video know what the term means. In Genshin, it's essentially you pay your way up without dedicating extra time to farm and gather resources to ascend your characters. Exploration and character design were two aspects that brought me to this game. Two of my favorite regions are also the first two that I explored at the beginning of the game. Exploration during Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma were perfect for me. Although I've only 100%ed Mondstadt, I greatly enjoyed wandering around Liyue's mountains and Inazuma's islands. In an open world RPG, exploration would be something most players would invest their time in. The satisfaction of opening a chest, completing a puzzle, and unlocking new mechanics. However, when you start to lose interest in the aspect that made you download the game, you lose that spark you once had and it never hits the same. It truly never does. Walking halfway across the map to complete stuff instead of using teleport waypoints that take 10 seconds to walk to each other. Now imagine complaining about taking 3 seconds to teleport from point A to B just to simply complete a quest. At that point in time, the healthy thing to do would be to access the menu and log out. Exploration took up majority of the space I had left in my storage, so it was natural that I at least spend time in the open world. It felt dull, and mentally exhausting to traverse a new region, especially when the thought of not completing the previous ones kept beating in my head. Despite all the negative remarks I laid out in this video, I still believe that this game can be enjoyable. In the making of this video, 5.4 is currently out, and I still think that players old and new can make the most out of it. When I made a brief return in the 5.3 Lantern Night, what brought me back was Hu Tao. I was always intrigued by the character and wanted to celebrate the event for a change of pace. I think it's important that no matter what game you're playing, that you as the person is enjoying the experience. When I returned, the childlike spark I had when starting the game came back and spent roughly around a week before softly quitting the game again. In terms of Genshin, if you're not enjoying the game, remember it's okay to take a long break. Following the meta is fine, but if that seems to interfere with your health and enjoyment, I highly recommend that you casual it down. I plan on playing whenever Movika or the Teresa has their banners, but knowing that I am not forcing myself to hop on is such a relief and burden off my shoulders.